This one is right out of Wings of Redemption's neck of the woods, Conway, South Carolina. This white restaurant manager is accused of enslaving and abusing a mentally disabled black man. He's been indicted on federal charges, as you might imagine. Let's see. Edwards, who's 52 years old, was arrested this week and pled not guilty in court on Wednesday, shortly after prosecutors announced the indictment. Let's see. It says he attempted to establish peonage, which is a new one for me, slavery, involuntary servitude, or human trafficking. It carries a maximum sentence of 20 years in prison. Seems like it'd be more for being a modern-day slave master. And this poor gentleman that he was enslaving, this Smith man, a 39-year-old with mild cognitive disability, had worked for more than 2 decades without issue at the J&J cafeteria, washing dishes, busting tables, and later cooking the fucking food at the folksy small-town diner. Apparently this guy would beat him with a belt buckle.
No, but keep reading. So he worked there for 2 decades without issue, but when Edwards took over as the manager in 2010, Smith said, the job turned into a nightmare. Edwards would force Smith to work from dawn until late into the night, 7 days a week, with little or no pay, no benefits, no vacation time, Smith alleged. Some days he would leave so exhausted and weak he had to be carried home and physically fed drink and food. He was so exhausted from being slaved away, couldn't feed himself. Said he called him racial slurs, threatened to stomp on his throat and beat him.
Until people would not recognize him anymore.
Taylor, I'm always impressed with your vocabulary. You got peonage stored away? You know what that is?
I would assume just from the
context
roots of peon, it means that he's trying to make him into a peon, like way back in the day. Like you'd be the lord of a fiefdom or something. You got
close.
A bunch of peons and
indentured
serfs.
Servitude. It's sometimes called debt slavery, or debt servitude. So I had to look it up. I'm not being smart. But this
modern day prison system.
I want to see what he actually did to this guy. So he said he threatened to beat him, and then he said he also assaulted him regularly, taking him into the freezer or back office. In one instance, he dipped a pair of tongs in hot frying grease and scalded the back of his neck. Oh, Jesus Christ. Whipped him with a belt buckle.
That is a rough
greasy
injury.
neck, boy. You want greasy neck?
Greasy neck, goodness gracious.
All the while, Smith lived in a squalor behind the restaurant in a roach-infested apartment owned by Edwards. So basically like a prison, it seems like.
Worse than a prison. Like a
gulag.
My understanding of prison is they don't typically dip a pair of tongs into hot frying grease and scald the back of your neck.
They didn't even have that in Oz.
Yeah, right? I thought that swastika tattoo was rough, but honestly, this might be worse.
Give you the greasy neck.
That was a pretty sterile branding he did to him, right?
Get them tables bust.
So at one point he didn't bring the food out to the buffet fast enough, and he whipped him with a belt buckle. Now, here you guys are giving me shit about being rough on the wait staff. We need to readjust our bar. By this standard, I'm pretty cool.
You've never burned anyone with eating utensils or serving utensils in conjunction with cooking oil, so that puts you a step above this